rotational chairmanship. According to the palace, the Alaafin's position had already been formally communicated to the state government through a memo submitted by the Oyo Council of Elders, which represents the collective stance of stakeholders in Oyo. The palace stressed that the memo remains the official position of the Alaafin and the Oyo community on the leadership of the State Council of Obas and Chiefs. Meanwhile, two Oyo civil society groups, the Oyo Scholars Congress OSC and Oyo Global Forum OGF, have rejected the Oyo State government's inauguration of a rotational chairmanship for the State Council of Obas, calling for the restoration of the Alaafin of Oyo's historical authority. In a joint statement, the groups described the arrangement as a distortion of Yoruba history and culture, noting that the Alaafin, Oba Akim Owade, occupies a unique and preeminent position in Oyo's traditional hierarchy. They also criticized his absence from the inauguration and praised him for distancing himself from claims that he supported the rotational arrangement. OSC and OGF urged Governor Seyi Makinde to reverse any policy equating the Alaafin's throne with other traditional rulers, stressing that reforms must respect historical and cultural continuity. Abimbola Adeyi, who called out First Bank in July 2025 over the alleged unauthorized removal of more than 900,000 naira from her mother's account, has disclosed that the bank has refunded the money. Adeyi confirmed this in a chat with Dominion News, stating that no alert was received to indicate the refund. She said the reversal was only discovered and confirmed when her mother visited the bank to obtain an account statement. Further updates on the matter will be provided in subsequent bulletins. Moving on, the senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, has praised President Bola Tinubu following the withdrawal of criminal defamation charges filed against her by the federal government. An Abuja High Court struck out the case after the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation formally withdrew the charges, bringing an end to a legal battle that had sparked widespread nationwide debate. Speaking to newsmen after the court proceedings, Akpoti-Uduaghan expressed gratitude to the president, describing the experience of facing two federal criminal cases at the same time as overwhelming. She said she had embezzlement or drug-related crimes. The defamation charges arose from petitions submitted by Senate President Godswill Akpabio and former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello. Now, the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, LIRS, has reaffirmed January 31st, 2026 as the deadline for employers in the state to file their annual tax returns for the 2025 financial year. In a statement issued, the executive chairman of LIRS, Dr. Ayodele Subar, said the requirement is in accordance with the Nigeria Tax Administration Act 2025. He explained that employers must submit detailed returns on emoluments and compensation paid to employees, as well as payments made to service providers, vendors, and consultants, and ensure that all applicable taxes for 2025 are fully remitted. Subar stressed that filing annual returns is a mandatory legal obligation and warned that non-compliance would attract statutory sanctions, including administrative penalties, as provided under the new tax law. And now moving on to the foreign scene. At least 10 people have died after torrential rains triggered severe flooding in northeastern South Africa, forcing the closure of the iconic Kruger National Park. South Africa's weather service issued its highest warning level as heavy rains were forecast to continue in parts of the country. Neighboring Mozambique was also placed on alert after floods submerged roads and homes. In Limpopo province, near Kruger National Park, 9 people were killed in a village, according to a provincial government spokesperson who added that nearly 200 residents had been rescued. Images released by the South African National Defence Force showed a military helicopter airlifting stranded people from treetops. In neighborhood Mpumalanga province, emergency teams recovered the body of a woman who drowned while attempting to cross a flooded river. Now, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is holding talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing as both countries seek to negotiate a new trade deal and reset bilateral relations after years of diplomatic strain. Carney's events for nearly a decade. Speaking during the meeting, President Xi said there had been a turnaround in ties since the two leaders last met on the sidelines of an international summit in November. Carney arrived in China on Wednesday evening and met with Chinese Premier Li Keqiang on Thursday, ahead of his meeting with Xi. The visit is seen as an opportunity for Ottawa to repair diplomatic ties and explore new economic opportunities as Canada seeks to reduce its reliance on the United States, its largest trading partner. Now, a South Korean court has sentenced former President Yoon Suk-yeol to 5 years in prison after finding him guilty of obstruction of justice. And George Baek-daehyun of the Seoul Central District Court ruled that Yoon deliberately blocked investigations from detaining him, constituting obstruction of justice. The court also found him guilty of unlawfully excluding cabinet members from a key meeting in which the martial law declaration was planned. Leader Yoon was removed from office following his brief suspension of civilian rule on December 3, 2024, a move that sparked nationwide protests and triggered a political showdown in parliament. Now stripped of power, Yoon faces multiple ongoing trials related to his actions during the martial law episode. And now talking sports, former Cameroon international Samuel Eto'o has been handed a 4-match ban and fined $20,000 after being found guilty of misconduct by the Confederation of African Football, CAF. CAF said the former Barcelona and Inter Milan striker was sanctioned following an incident in which he was reportedly seen making angry gestures in protest at several decisions by match officials during a quarter-final match. CAF President Patrice Motsepe, who was present at the stadium, is understood to have personally witnessed Eto'o's conduct.